What you gonna do when it's hot outside? Ooh, I know what. Listen to Veg. What you gonna do when the trains are down? Ooh, I know what. Listen to Veg.
We have Mike Vecchione this week. Thank you for doing your podcast.
I'm glad to be inside of your vages.
Yes, this was a very hard get. So thank you for doing this, Beth.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me. This is my room. You guys have both been here. How's it feel to see my room again?
Pretty good. I've never been over at your place. I've been on the outside, but Katie wouldn't let me come in.
Is that what you tell Joe? Is that what you tell Joe?
I've only seen the outside.
Well, you're welcome anytime as long as you're not carrying the deadly disease that is attempting to kill all of us. So,
yeah, it looks like it's on the rise again.
Yeah,
not in New York though. I think because we've been quarantining, it'll probably be on the rise again in about a month here. Right now, it's great though. Right now, I think is when you should go out and do everything you want to do.
Well, I think phase 2 is the best. I love phase 2.
Isn't what are we, phase 4?
No, we're phase 2.
No, he means like performance. But I think even phase 4, they're like, we're not going to open up movie theaters and other stuff. So I think we're like phase 8.
How many phases are there? They never told us that.
I don't know. It kind of sounds. Remember when you were a kid and your parents would promise you to do something and that day never came? That's kind of what comedy feels like right now during the.
I thought it was like the terror alert on 9/11. It's like we're at code orange. It's like nobody knows what that is. Is that safe?
I think it's scared, but not as scary as code red. Also, aren't you just at a code? Isn't it normally just a regular, like green code? I guess until you get a text, then it's a red. There's not a lot of in between.
Yes, there is. There was a whole rainbow, an LGBTQ rainbow.
I know.
Levels to the terrorism alert.
So what about when the that crock pot went off on fire? What was that?
What went off on fire?
Do you remember somebody put a crock pot or?
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Cooker presser. What was that code?
I don't know. I don't know what I lost track of the colors. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You said it's either red or green. That's just not true. You're spreading fake news, Adrian. I hate to take issue with you on your own podcast. But I'm not going to sit here and listen to fake news.
Hey, right now we're in code red.
That's all we do is spread fake news.
All we do is spread fake news. We've told people that COVID is a fake illness and that you could go out and do whatever you want.
I thought this was a gynecological podcast.
That's later. First, we make you listen to a lot of rubbish that women talk about. And then later it's a GYN appointment.
Do you guys want to open up about your feelings? Who's got a cup of tea?
I got a big cup of tea.
Adrian does. Mine's finished. Can I tell you guys, my phone is dead, so I have no phone right now.
Isn't it amazing when your phone dies?
It's great.
Can you see me? I feel like I don't exist anymore. Yeah.
You do, but you look like you're fading fast.
You look like in Back to the Future, you're just dissolving, like that picture.
I know. Part of me was thinking if I had said something awful online and I just never came back to it, then it never really happened.
Yes.
Unless you're trying to get a job, I guess.
Yeah, unless you try to get a job, everybody knows it then.
No, I'll just be a lady of leisure.
But could you imagine trying to get a job at Macy's and then they bring up something you said on a podcast? Where you're like, why would I say that? Why would I say that? Guys, I'm trying to sell shoes.
I was on the road with Katie and we were at a TGI Fridays and I wanted to do a thing with the waitress where the waitress said something and then Katie said something else. I wanted to do a whole scene. And the waitress was like, I could get in trouble for this. I'm like, okay. That was a real concern. You're laughing at it, Adrian, that it's actually a real concern. She's like, I don't want to do anything. Like, I've been working here a while and I'm in school, so I don't want to.
Hey, we did not bring you on here to yell at us the whole time.
Well,
the key is to find a job that treats, that doesn't give a shit because they're just as toxic. That's what I had.
Oh, where?
I worked at a property management and they threw around the word retarded all the time. Then I'm like, oh, I'm good.
I feel like that's a fun place to work though, because you're not really going to get in trouble for doing stuff.
No.
A property management?
Yeah. They're not going to look into my tweets. Nor
Well,
do
you
they
don't know.
care.
You don't. The whole property management thing could get into into trouble. Like they're trying to acquire something. They do somebody notices something, and then it's always when you're about to get something big. It's never like in the midst of you just doing your regular thing. Nobody cares. But when
Yeah.
you're about to get something that elevates you above everybody else, then it's when people go, oh, this could be construed this way.
Okay, but do you think that girl was scared to get fired because you were telling her to say fuck TGIF? Was that it?
No. It was nothing that. It was nothing. It was something with the food, though. It was like, we need some more bacon on this. And she was like, ba, 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 ba. I don't know, but it was nothing like TGI Fridays is terrible. But they could have interpreted it like, our jalapeno poppers are great. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Or she has no idea that you and Katie are huge sex traffickers. And
Yes.
she's done content for the biggest sex traffic ring ever.
And she's now in that, and you guys are making a video about it?
Yeah.
I like that she's done content. Sarah, is that what we're doing now? How much content? Do you do content?
I do content. That's all I do, is I just constantly create content.
Well, I got to say, I was just in Tampa, and I was texting Adrian, and they do not acknowledge that the virus is real. They think that water skiing and belief in Jesus is enough to come. No, it was good. It was really, everybody took precautions. Shout out to Side Splitters in Tampa, great club. And,
did they wear masks in the
weekend.
audience?
The staff wore masks, but they did it half capacity. So you were with your party, but you had to sit away from everybody else. You could sit with your party, but you had to sit away from everybody else.
That makes sense.
I like when they booked me, they were like, when they were rebooking me, they go, half capacity is what we're going to do. I'm like, half capacity is my middle name.
Yeah.
As a comic.
That's what I'm on the social distancing tour because I'm perfect for this.
Sarah, she's doing a place where there's 25% capacity. So she's a fourth of it.
Yeah.
Who is?
Me. I'm in Arlington Draft House July 17th and 18th, but they're not at full capacity, nor will
they're at 1/4 capacity.
Yeah, this is the one time I'll actually sell out a room because we're at 20.
You'll have to maybe you'll add shows. Do you think you'll be one of those comics who has to add shows at 25%?
That's great. You'll have to do 20 shows.
You'll keep getting shows. You'll just stay there for a month. You got to keep adding shows every day.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Run.
Now, Sarah, how is your act? Like, do you know your act?
No, I mean, I've done a few Zoom shows. In my head, I feel like I have maybe 5 minutes of new material, but I have no idea. I'm sure once I put it in an actual venue with people, it could just eat it, and then I'm like back to zero again. I have no idea.
I think it's going to be a lot of testing that first show. You said that it was kind of like in the beginning you felt a little like rusty, right? But then
I felt super rusty. But the audience on the Thursday night was very cool. Like they were like very nice and forgiving and cool. Like just flowed. And if you have a tight audience though, I would have been in trouble on Thursday because a tight audience. Or on Saturday they were a little bit rowdy, which I was by Saturday I was fine. By the Saturday early I was like good. I was in. So it was like, oh, this is actually good. They're a little bit rowdy because it tests me to see whether I really have it. I'm in rhythm, because you could deal with the crowd. You can go back to your act. By that time I was fine. But if that would have happened Thursday, or they would have been really tight on Thursday, it would have been some trouble.
Did you bring notes with you, or you just kind of?
Yeah, I brought notes for the first couple, and then once I had, but it's like I had notes, but I wasn't doing anything really new. I have some Corona stuff off the top, but I wasn't doing anything like super new. So for me I felt like a phony after a while, like going through my notes. Like it's just your act that you had where you were right before this thing happened. So it's not like I've been in quarantine, and I don't think any of us. I've talked to nobody who's been like, oh, I have a ton of new jokes. It's like no one does because we're not getting up.
You're also just not having a lot of experiences that are really funny. I don't know. I'm not having a ton of things where I'm like, this is a definite joke.
Right.
Yeah. What about when you try material on your Amazon delivery guy?
Has that been working? That seems like a good way to test material.
Well, he
That's
can't
what
even
you
get
do.
close. He can't even get close. He's got to drop the box off. You're like, you look great today. What's going on in the news? He's like,
Just running away.
Yeah, he
yeah.
just chucks
You
it.
walked him. You walked the Amazon guy, Sarah.
All the time. I don't know. I'm always afraid of doing a lot of COVID material because I feel like how different can it be from other comics material about COVID that I try to write under the umbrella of it. Like
Yeah, that's
something that can
smart.
be done from that was under quarantine, but that could also work outside of quarantine, like depression and cooking all the time.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
feel like the
smart.
audience probably really relates to it. Like, I think doing shows right now, they're probably not seeing that many comics. So doing even a couple jokes about it, they probably can relate to. But like once we're all back out there, that's when I think everyone's going to be like, well, a lot of us have this same joke, or, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, I like the idea. I like the idea of like the loneliness, the being trapped with someone. Like that stuff is not only, it's great because it is topical, but it's not topical. It'll transcend it. It'll transcend
Yeah.
the pandemic. So that's good.
Are you doing
What-
more road dates?
No, that was it. I mean, I had a bunch. I was booked like 2 months out, 3 months out. All of my stuff either got pushed back or canceled. So I had this date, then they offered it to me in like January or March, but they're like, we could do it right now if you want. I'm like, yeah, let me do it right now. Unless
'cause-
there's another spike or something, and then I was like, we just have to take it week by week. But the guy there is really good, and we did it. It was good for me to get up now, but it's like now I'm up and I have it again, but it's like I don't have that much work. I have
Yeah.
like
It's
2
also-
one-nighters, but I don't have like another. If I was just on the road, like these guys who have like are booked a year out, I mean those guys are kind of set. Like they don't need the city to reopen because they could just work stuff out on the road and then come back to the city. But I unfortunately don't have that, so I got to work on other stuff.
But I
Yeah.
think there's not everybody is doing the road that consistently. Like you have so many credits that the fact that you're not booked every single weekend is insane. I think you're the best joke writer in New York City.
Thank you, Adrian.
Yeah.
Can
I'll
we use
say-
this as the clip?
Yeah.
Sure, that could be the clip.
Okay, can you
Yes. I remember when I
Yep.
first saw you when I moved to the New York, I saw you at the Cellar. And I had seen a few people, but I remember that night I was like, that guy's good. And I remember DeStefano, that I remember liking him a whole bunch.
Oh, that's
You just
good.
like Italians.
You like
I love
Italian.
Italians.
And that's why you married Irish.
Well, I think the first time I ever seen Vecchione was at the comic strip. Remember when they used to do the auditions and you were doing jokes about how you used to be a teacher?
Mm-hmm.
It was that joke about, I guess, you used to kind of, I don't know, like talk to the kids and be like, if you can do this, I'm going to pass you. Remember, what was that
Oh,
joke? It
yeah.
was so funny.
The pencil in the heart. Like if you bring a pencil to school and locate my biology teacher.
That's
If you could
such
bring
a
a
good
pencil to
joke.
school, I'm not bringing a pencil. If you could bring a pencil to school, locate my heart, I'm going to pass you in biology. I'm going to stab you if you don't pass me in biology.
Yeah, and that's what you said. That was a really funny joke. And you ended up passing that night. You had a great set.
Yeah, that took me.
I was really proud to be Italian for a moment. But you were just in King of Staten Island.
Yes, King of
That's-
Staten Island.
I really like that movie. I think
Yeah,
you
it was
Sarah
great.
saw it, right?
Yeah, it was really a great. They did a great job.
We thought you were the best part.
Thank you.
You were
Somebody's
the
at
best
my
part.
door. Am I,
Go see who
am I,
it is.
You can go
am I
get
gonna
it.
fuck up
You-
if I get it?
No,
No,
go
you
get
can.
it.
You can go get it.
Thank you.
We're pretty loose on that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to the
Yeah.
listeners.
Let's talk shit about Mike now.
Great. That's our
You know
favorite part is when they leave and then we just talk shit about them.
I like right now. You look like you're going to rob a bank.
Because I went running and I put this
I
in the
figured that.
freezer.
Oh, that's smart. Did you see they have one of those things where it's like an air conditioner that you can put around your neck? It's like
Yeah,
this little tie thing, and then the air comes out from it. I was like, I wonder if you could get that while I don't know if you could go jogging with it, but you could definitely go walking.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that because I've been running on concrete and then it's just
Running on
the sun is
concrete-
beating down on you.
Yeah, running on concrete's not the best for your like way to run, especially for your knees. I've been going later at night when it's cooler. It's a little bit nicer out.
Guys,
Yeah.
I'm back. It was
What-
the
what
false
was it?
alarm. They needed the apartment upstairs, and he buzzed me, which happens.
Isn't
We had a
that
roommate. Me and I live with Dan Soder. We had a roommate who was a banker. He was like he was like a good-looking, tall guy. He would get all kinds of chicks. It was crazy. He would these deliveries would come like early in the he would be at work, and they would come like 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. Like these deliveries would come, and it would wake us up, and we would just keep taking these deliveries for him. And then one day he was home, and the delivery came a little later, and we give it to him, and he opens it up. He's like, "Oh, cool, another bracelet." He was just getting bracelets. He had a bracelet holder and a bunch of bracelets on the holder. I'm like, this is what we've been waking up for, bracelets every morning for like
What
3
are the-
months.
What are the bracelets? Like girls were
They're just
sending
like
to
little
them?
wood something bracelets, and it was like, but it
You
was so
collected
funny that
them?
we were getting waken up every other day, and we thought that maybe he is something important, but they ended up being bracelets,
Yeah, you're like, this better be cocaine.
something
Yeah.
Something good to be waking up. You ever get
parts of a ventilator, maybe if I could make it about today.
Did you see that Sarah sent me a story where this family turned off this guy's ventilator because they went to plug in the AC and he died?
That's really.
I mean,
I mean, no death is funny, but that's pretty hilarious.
That's up there.
do you think
I
once
mean-
they saw him going back, they turned it back and were like, let's plug him back in? Or you think they were just like, let's enjoy this nice AC?
He died for a good he died. Hey, can I tell you like can I tell you my joke? The one joke that worked all weekend, which is
Yes,
Yeah.
tell me.
something with it, but I want to use it on stage. But I said we're using fax machines as ventilators now. We're transforming, but we're transforming fax machines into ventilators, but we're leaving them partially as fax machines. So it's like you take a breath, you get a fax. It's like, oh
That's
my God, my
hilarious.
mom's doing good. Take another breath, send a fax. You know.
That actually
Missing
might
kid
work.
report.
That's
Did you
hilarious.
ever
Wait,
get those? Like in fax machines, when you worked, every now and then you would get like a missing kid report, or like, have you seen this kid? And you're at work and you're like, how am I can't leave to go search this kid right now.
it's always funny when you get something that the community wants you to pitch in and help, because unless it's right there, I'm not going to do it. Like even when there's like somebody who's, you ever see when they have like when you're driving and they have like a missing person that's like taken off in their own car,
Right.
and you're like, even if I see them, I'm just going to honk. They're like, hey, are you missing? You're like, what are you really going to do? Chase this person down?
Citizens arrest.
Yeah. There's
But
nothing
that's
you
the
can
thing.
do.
When I see the commercial 1877 cars for kids, it's such a jingle. You know, it's in my head, which I'm sure that's how they wrote it. But it's like the idea behind it is you just donate your car and the money goes to kids. I guess it's like, then how am I supposed to get to work? Like I want to help kids like everybody. It's like now I got to take the bus, and these kids
Yeah.
have it.
I wrote a sketch because I was doing a packet for Cars for Kids, and I think the money goes for like kids with cancer or something. I don't know. And I thought it'd be funny if you just give your old car to a kid so he could take himself to his chemo. And SNL was not into that. I thought it was great.
I would have hired you.
I would have
Um,
hired
Yeah.
you.
Mike, so let's go back. We were talking about Staten Island and we got distracted.
Oh yes.
How was that?
It was, I mean, really, I know people say this about whatever they're promoting, but it was really an unbelievable, one of the best experiences of my life, like working on, because we shot for 3 weeks. I wasn't in the movie for that long, but we shot for 3 weeks. So I was able to be on the set and like watch how things work and hang out with the guys, other actors, and for 3 weeks. So I thought it was so much fun, and to the point where it's like we were done shooting on a Friday, and we were like, we didn't. It was like a time where it was like we didn't know whether we were done or not, or they would need us some more, and they were like, let's break for lunch, and then they'll decide. So and the lunch was like, I mean, the spread was unbelievable. It was like they were grilling all these meats, steaks, like vegetables. It was like unbelievable. So I went and I ate, and I was like, I actually don't care if they keep, like, I actually don't want to really go home. Like, I'll just This is
Yeah.
the
It was
best.
just like
I mean,
it was just like
you're
a
on a
fun
movie
fact.
set. It's the middle of summer. It's nice outside. You're in Staten Island. It's like, why would I? Where do I gotta be? That's better than this. This is
Like-
unbelievable.
Like as an Italian, Staten Island is also like almost as good as Italy. That's like
Yeah, I hear the food is. I don't know about you, but like I'm not from New York, so I've only been there a handful of times.
I've only been there a couple times too.
Yeah.
One time I went to get my boxer from there. Another time I was in a 50 Cent movie that was shot. It was shot in Staten Island, I think. I was like in the background. It was something weird. So I've only been there a handful of times. But yeah, also too, you knew a lot of the people on the set. So you weren't just
Right.
doing a movie where you were like, didn't know people. You knew almost everybody. It was a lot of comics.
It was a lot of comics. The guys I shot with weren't comics though. They were actors, and
okay.
like a few of them were actor firefighters. Those guys are great. They were like they were real firefighters that were also actors. So they were awesome. And then the regular, I mean, we shot a lot. Like Burr hung out a lot, so that was great. Pete was there, obviously. Ricky Velez, he already shot his scenes, but he was like still working on the movie, like writing and stuff. And so yeah, it was great. It was
there were a lot of comics.
a lot of comics in it, but
It was cool
like
to
the
watch
early
it.
scenes, we shot at the end of the movie. Where our scenes were at the end of the movie, but we shot also later. So I didn't see Ricky shoot his scenes. I didn't see Derek shoot his scenes. I didn't see Keith or Rich and Bonnie. Like I didn't, or Lynn. Like I saw Lynn at the initial table read, but I didn't see. And she did great. All of those
Yeah,
people I just
everyone was
mentioned
great in it.
ripped it. It was unbelievable. But I didn't shoot with any of them. So I watched the movie. Like I was like, oh, certain people I didn't know were in it. I'm like, oh, that's great. They killed it.
So will you guys know how well it's done, or is it kind of too early to know? Like how well the movie's done?
Yeah,
I
I don't know. Like I'll be honest with you, I haven't. I mean, I could check on. I guess I could check, but I think it's doing well.
I would think so too, because although I think people were bummed it wasn't out in the movies, I think everyone's home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think a lot of people still watched it. Although
Yeah.
maybe because they're not buying tickets and like 5 people can watch, and you know what I mean? So I don't know how they're going to take that.
I don't know
into
how it's
account.
monetized either, really. But that Trolls movie, I think before our movie, I think Trolls movie came out. It was supposed to go to theaters, but because of the pandemic, I think they have a choice. They could either push the release back until theaters come back, or they could just do it while everybody's in quarantine. And the Trolls movie was the first movie. I don't know anything about the Trolls movie except it was the first movie that had that option, and they pushed it, and it did really well on demand.
Well, it makes
I would-
sense because I know that some of those streaming movies, like that one that Sandra Bullock did, it had like way better numbers than any movie that was being released at that
Right.
time. And it's just because no one wants to go out and spend a shit ton of money at the movie theater. Like
Right.
the rental was $19 or $20, I think, on
Yeah.
iTunes. But when you think about it, you're like, it's in my home. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to look for parking. I can have, if I had a group of friends, then that would have been the
You don't have
rental
to
or
buy
family.
food. You don't have
Yeah.
to buy
It still
groceries.
would have been cheaper than going to the movie theater.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody.
it was worth
I
it.
actually, the part that you did with the bed bugs, I feel like that's something you wrote because it's so much in your voice. Did you write that part?
The writers were like, "Hey, do you have something? Do you have something personal to you that's like I forget the way they worded it, but they asked me for a personal thing that's bothersome to me or like affected my life in a certain way." And I told them the bed bugs thing, and then a couple days before we shot, Judd was like, think of some stuff, think of some riffs, because the way he shoots, it's like there's a scene there and you shoot the scene, but it's also he lets you improvise, and
That's
he
cool.
will let you do a few takes where you improvise. So he's like, think of some stuff for this scene because we're going to improvise, and then that's how it happened. But shooting that scene was like Pete was very giving on that scene. He let me just go off. He wasn't too like, he was just going, he was just like reacting and letting me go. And then Judd was like, let us do a few takes, and also would like be like, try it this way, try it this way, try it this way, like yelling from the back. And that's like, I mean, it was really a great way. Now, personally, it's like writing jokes.
Yeah.
It's like the bitch of it, because we were shooting scenes like that, and I was like, oh, the editing must be crazy hard. Because you got like, you're shooting one scene, so you have 50 options. So it's like you got to go through 50 options and go, which is the best option. It's definitely, I think, a harder way to shoot, but it's like you're going to get the best thing out of that.
Yeah, it's gonna be more fun too for
I
would think for the performer.
I just
Right.
thought, like, as soon as I heard it, I was like, this sounds so much like Mike's voice, where I'm wondering if you wrote that part. And in essence, it is your joke. So yeah, it sounded so much like you.
Right.
And you've had bed bugs before, right?
I mean, this coronavirus thing is terrible. It is terrible. But bed bugs for me, I mean, I dealt with it the wrong way because I'm a person who like it's hard for me to change a lot in terms of like, if I got locked out of my apartment one time when I was living in Philly, I was in my early 20s, and the door was I just locked my keys out. So instead of deciding to go through a window or something, I just ran up against the door for like an hour until my head was like bloody. It's like I don't have good problem solving. Maybe it's something I'm working on, but I stayed in the bed bug situation because I had just moved to this apartment, same building. I moved from one apartment to another apartment building, or another apartment in the building, and got bed bugs, and I refused to leave. And Warren Holstein, I haven't
Oh my
seen him in a long
God.
time,
I haven't seen him in so long.
but he had them before. So he was talking to me. I'd see him at the comic strip, and he was like, I said, I think when it first started, I think I have bed bugs. He's like, move. I go, dude, I'm not moving. I just moved in. I just bought furniture. I'm not fucking moving. He's like, look at me, move. And 3 times through the conversation that we were having, he actually thought there was a bed bug on me during the conversation and moved away 3 separate times. That's how paranoid he was.
Yeah.
He had them. So, so he was like, move. And I was like, I'm not fucking moving, dude. Like, fuck, get out of here. I'm going to fight these things. I'm going to get them taken care of, and I'm going to go on with my life. Months and months, it just got worse. And because the exterminators, the way the landlords are responsible for it. So the landlords bring an exterminator, and the way the landlords do things is they bid whenever they hire somebody, they just bid for the lowest charging guy, the guy who will charge the least money. And you can't do that with bed bugs. You have to get the best guy, whatever it costs, or else you're going to have a huge problem. So the landlord did take responsibility and took the lowest bidding guy. He took the lowest bidding guy, and they came in and you have to take all of your belongings. You have to wash them in hot water, wrap them in plastic, and push them to the center of the room so they can exterminate. Then when they're done exterminating, you put everything back. And then, so I did that maybe 5 times.
Wait, you did it 5 separate times?
5 to 7 times. And it's like, you would wash everything, high heat, put it in the center of the room. They would come in and do it. You put everything back, and then I would get bit again.
It's maddening.
Did you eventually move?
I had to move. That's why I moved in with Soder, because I was like, I can't stay here. And I had the lease, and James Mattern was living with me, and another guy who was a civilian. And I was like, I gotta call it, dude. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hope you guys get other places, but we can't. I was the only one getting bitten, but it was like, kept getting worse. So I'm like, we can't stay here. I'm sorry. I have to end the lease, and That's
insane. So
and then
you
I
just
saw
leave?
Soder at Stand Up New York, and I was asking, he's like, we got a guy moving out. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, this was like 10 years ago. We've been living with Soder for 10 years. And I got everything, because I didn't want to bring bed bugs to him. So I had everything put in a truck and fumigated. I threw most of the stuff out, but the stuff I kept, I had fumigated so I wouldn't bring them to Queens.
How do they fumigate that? You just get like a big truck and they put all your shit in it?
Put all your shit in it, and then they put they fumigate that truck.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then also, I guess you weren't paying for it, right? All the times they were coming, but like, that's got to make you so upset.
I would have paid for it. If it would have been done. I don't know if there's a science to, I haven't been following up on the technology of it, but if there's a science to it where you would have wanted to know what I would have paid. I would have paid way more than you would expect to have, because it's torture.
Yeah, and then you're constantly, like, also, we live in New York City where you don't have a washer and dryer in your house.
Right.
So you're just bringing all your shit to constantly get cleaned.
and you're throwing stuff. I had to throw stuff out. They hide in the walls, and then they attack you, and then they can live for a month on your blood. Like they could live it for a month. So it's like they could attack you and then live for a month in the walls. So it's
Yeah.
anytime I see buildings, I won't live in a big building again. Anytime I see buildings attached to each other, it's like I wouldn't live there because it can just spread. It can just spread. They
Yeah.
can just go from room to room and house to house, and it's like, it was a terrible, terrible experience.
Anyone who has bed bugs after, they seem like they need trauma treatment.
Yes.
Like they're just broken down. It's just breaks you down as a person.
It's really post-traumatic. I don't want to sound over dramatic, but it's,
No. But I know what you're saying. Like, obviously it's not like getting, whatever, something awful, like robbed or victimized in a way, but like I just can't imagine having to go through that. Like, that's just so much work.
So much work. It's so frustrating. And I just moved into a new place too. And I was like, I'm going to
And you don't know if they're ever going to stop. That's the other thing. Like, once it happened, my friend had the same thing that used to do stand-up. She had it once, twice, 3 times. Eventually she just left.
You have to just move. And you know what? By the time you're giving up, the landlord is ready to be done with you. He's like, at the end of it, he was like, you're living a dirty, filthy life. You're bringing them back. I paid for an exterminator. It's like, I get where you're coming from, but that's not the case. But okay. It's like, he's ready to be done with you anyway. So he's like, I'm going to let you out of the lease. Just get out, please. And I'm like,
I almost feel like you have to burn the building down.
I think that there's a way, if you pay, like if you really pay like money, there's a technology out there that probably freezes them or does something, but it's like you have to get out for a while and then you have to just let them do their thing and make sure that if you have money, it's like, I think it's a different, if you're willing to spend.
If you have money, nothing's that bad.
That's true. And I'll tell you something, when I go to hotels, when I go to the road now, it's like people laugh at me, but I take all my clothes off. I put them in the bathtub. I sleep in one pair of underwear every night. And then after the trip is over, I put that underwear in a plastic bag so I'd never lay on the bed with my clothes. Smart. Tammy Pescatelli actually told me, she's like, take the iron, plug it in, put it on the bed, and see, check around the corners of the bed to see if they're there. But put the iron on the bed and turn it on and let it just sit there for a while because they respond to the heat.
So is that what they're attracted to?
Yeah, they're attracted to the heat, your body heat. So
I worked in a hotel for years, and most hotels in New York City have a few rooms that have it. It's just inevitable. With that many travelers coming in, you're just going to have bed bugs.
Another thing Warren Holstein said, it was, he went to a hotel and because I would go get into the hotel, put all my stuff in the bathtub, and then I would get online and I would check to see the bed bug registry to see if this hotel was on the bed bug registry or people had commented.
I don't even know that's a thing, the bed bug registry.
No, it's a thing. I would check it immediately when I got to the hotel, put all the stuff in the bathtub, and then I would get my internet on and I would check the bed bug registry. And then if it said something like there were some complaints, Warren Holstein did this. He went down to he'd go down to the hotel, whatever, the people at the front desk, and he would pull money out and go, don't put me in the bed bug rooms. I know you know. And they would be like, we don't. He's like, I know you know. Take the money and don't give me one of those rooms. He's like, you don't have to say it. Just take the money and don't give me one of those rooms.
Jesus. I don't miss that part of traveling and sleeping in gross hotels.
Usually the hotels are pretty decent, but
I know, but I'm just worried. Like I'm definitely scared of getting bed bugs and never being able to get rid of them either.
Right. No, that's a real for me now. And everybody makes fun of me, but they didn't go through what I went through. What I went through was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I felt that anger when you were talking about bed bugs and the King of Staten Island.
Well, I'm going to do my actor. I had access to that part of me. That gave me access to a lot of my emotions. Can I say something about the movie? I thought I shot it and I was grateful to be in it in any capacity. I was grateful to be on the set and working, whatever. But I was like, I was watching to see how they they shot the movie, and I was like, it's conceivable that I could just get cut out of the movie. It's very I knew that going in. It's like it's conceivable I could get cut out or just look like a background actor, because I was one of the firefighters. But fortunately my scene stayed in, but I could just look like a background actor. So what I did was, with my phone, I started I had other actors ask me a question. I told them to ask me a question, and I responded to it like I was like an actor, where I was like,
Yeah.
my process, is that what you want to know? Like, I would just like talk about, and I posted all these on Instagram. There's like 9 of them where it's and I prefaced it by saying artist challenge, self-nomination. No one has nominated me. I've nominated myself. And then I would do a whole thing, how like actors do self-promotion. So I did like 9 of those, and I'm like, I hope this comes off the way that I'm intending it to come off.
Yeah.
Like it's a parody of something.
Yeah.
Instead of like people, because people could be like, oh, this is serious. And it's like,
He's
no, that's not serious. It's not who I am. I'm like making fun of people who do this.
Yeah. Well, that's like influencers that'll be like, a lot of people have been asking me about my skincare routine, and you're like, no one
cares.
asking you. Like, you're full of shit. A lot of people have been asking me what my process is for acting. And
I love that. No, I love that. I don't know how you can't love. I love that. But it's like, was talking to my friend in Florida, because I did a social media, like I got off of it. Like I post in the morning. I look through a bunch of my friends' stuff, and I like it. Or if there's something, I retweet it. I do all the platforms at once, and then I don't look at it for the rest of the day.
oh,
I think that's smart.
I can't do it.
I'm having nervous breakdowns watching. I was talking to Sarah about this the other day. I'm just like going back and forth like I'm gonna have a seizure, like going back and forth to each platform. And I was like, I need to like detox from it and just read or go for a walk. Like I can't be on it all the time. Also, like I'll post something and I'll wake up in the morning and like people are fighting under this this one thing, and it's just like it's not healthy. I don't think it's a good way. Like I wonder if we'll move towards that eventually, like not being on social media as much. It's just it consumes your whole day.
I'm a couple weeks into it, and it's already like I've stopped the craving for it. Like I did it right before the podcast. I didn't post anything today, so I did it right. I checked everything and liked a bunch of stuff right before the podcast, and now I won't go on it until tomorrow. But I miss it less and less now. It's like the addiction is starting to slow down. So I would recommend it to anybody. I don't know Sarah. Do you look at it all day?
well, I feel like as an actor, I like to look at it so I can harness anger.
That's a good answer.
I'm really bad at it, but now that my phone won't turn on, Joe just got a beta, I think from like a prototype from Ari it's called Human Light, and I can put in my SIM card into this phone, and it'll just give me maps, texting, and phone option, and there's no social media, no internet. So all I can do is just like, if I'm lost, I can look up directions, but I can't. So I might just try that temporarily because I don't have a phone right now.
That's unreal, because I have no sense of direction. I have a very, very bad sense of direction. So I need that direction thing. But everything it's still on my phone, but I've just self-imposed it, and it's really a lot better for my mind. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it'll get so bad. I'm on Venmo looking at transactions because I've.
Oh yeah, you start going through crazy stuff.
Yes. I'm like, they owe you money for pizza? That's crazy.
You know what I'll go through? I'll look at Patreon and just see how much money everyone's making. That's another one I scroll.
I'm bad with technology, so I don't even know those things. Like I know Venmo. I know probably people could, but I don't know who makes. With Venmo, I don't know who makes their transactions public. Who does that, and for what reason?
They do. I make mine private because I don't want people to know what I paid somebody to shoot a video for me, or like how much money Joe makes me owe him.
Or how much you have to pay
to get fingered. Yeah.
Always bringing it back to the vag.
Mike, I think you should ask what's his name to do your special. If you haven't already asked Judd Apatow.
Judd? Maybe I will. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like it's hard to, you can't develop anything right now, but
You can't.
I'm going to ask either just somebody, I'm going to ask somebody that like, and
The
if they,
fact that you
I'm
don't have
willing to take the law. I'm not, no bitterness. I'm willing to take the loss because I figure I'm like where you are in the sense that it doesn't, you gotta, these people, first of all, I'm not coming out of the blue. People know me, but
no,
it's like,
and you're like one of the best.
Yeah.
So the fact that you don't have, like, you did a half hour on Comedy Central, but I mean, the fact that you don't have an hour special. Do you know the other day I watched 2 or 3 specials and I didn't make it through any of them.
on
So
what,
it's just,
on which,
I'm not gonna tell you who they were, but I'm just
yeah.
saying on different things. Like I think the Amazon, Netflix. There was a couple
Right.
of different ones I watched, and I was like, comedy specials aren't really special anymore. You know what I mean? And you can't
Yeah.
like begrudge people who get them because they have a big following or whatever. That's great, but also like you're just a great comic. Do you know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
Like your jokes have no fat on them, so the fact that you don't have a special to me is like criminal. It's like
Thank
I don't get it, and everyone feels that way. There's not one person who would be like, "Well, I don't think he's that funny." Like the best.
Well,
So the fact that you don't have a special is insane.
Thank you. Thank you guys. But I think that maybe like the platforms are always, it's always like switching. So if a lot of us can't get on some of these more popular platforms, it's like maybe we all go to YouTube. And then
I
maybe
think that's a great idea.
if enough of us go to YouTube, then people are going to start watching specials on YouTube. They'll be like, oh, this
That's
is where the
true.
good people go. You know, it's like, you know what I mean? Like if other platforms don't start giving competent people specials, I feel like it might shift, you know?
I'm all
agree.
for
So-
that because I don't like depending on industry. So I always think
Right.
if you can create it your own and do Patreon and a YouTube, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Maybe
hard
that's the
to.
way, I mean, like the technologies are always changing. And, you know, if I think what happens is like, if you get in the ground floor of a platform, an emerging platform, that will skyrocket you. You know what I mean? Even if you're like, regardless of like, it's about getting on that. Yeah, it's obviously we are working in the clubs and we're purists, but because it doesn't matter what happens. I think that people like us are just going to be in the clubs working. This is our process. It's what we do, you know? But I think the emerging platform thing, if you could attach yourself to an emerging platform and that platform skyrockets, your destiny will be attached to that. You'll be wildly popular.
I think so, but I think, like you said, if you can't put one out, YouTube's there, and I think that'll help you get like a bigger following, and
Right.
then you'll be able. I mean, I think it's criminal. You should have one, and you know, like I would try and get money first if I were
Yes.
you. Like obviously you would also, but yeah, it's just crazy to me that you don't have an hour special.
Well, thank you. I think when it's time to do it, I'm going to like approach people like bigger names, and if and I'm willing to take, like I'm a guy who I go down these rabbit holes and I read books about stuff, and I was just reading a lot about failure because I took failure very badly when I was younger, especially. I would wrestle and lose, get pinned in front of a gym full of people. It's humiliating, and I wasn't very good at handling it, but it's part of the business, and it's like better to handle it from a perspective of like you gotta try and fail. If you bring your special to somebody and they're like, I don't want it, you're like, okay, you know, I go to the next person. I gotta like just keep trying to shop it, you know what I mean, and not take it so personal. I think as comics we're all pretty sensitive, and
Yeah.
I know I am.
The most sensitive. We all are.
Yes. So when
Well-
somebody rejects me or something, I get, it hurts me personally. And these books are like what it keeps saying in these books. It keeps saying like, this is part of it. Like you can't take it personally. You can't connect yourself to it personally. And the best thing to do is to divorce yourself emotionally from it and just kind of like see what you did wrong when you fail and then just come back at it. It's basically just diagnosing it in an unemotional way and then trying again. So if you're, I have a special and you're asking people to produce it and they say no, it's like that shouldn't be any kind of a personal thing. Be like, I understand, and then move on to the next person. Or if this, you know, maybe take a look at the special. If the person's like, for this reason, I don't want to produce it, then be like, okay, maybe I can fix that, or maybe I don't agree with you. I'll just take it to somebody else. But the fact of the matter is, you're not so sensitive that it just overcomes you emotionally. which
'Cause the fact is-
I had a problem with, you know?
I think we all do though, especially if you start seeing your peers get stuff and you don't, you start to feel left out.
Right.
So I think it's hard to not take that personally, but honestly, all these people that are in the position to make these decisions, most of them are just doing it from a financial point of view. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people have said to me, I think you're great, I just can't do anything with you. And even though that's hurtful, you're like, well, I get it. They don't see themselves making money off of me right now. So there's nothing I can do about that.
But there isn't. Personally, there's nothing you could do about it. But in my opinion, those people like, and I like them like a lot of them personally, but they're not looking at the bigger picture. Like if you keep looking at the short term of like how many followers does this person have, or how popular is this person, or what show they are on, instead of like how good is this comedy, they're not looking at like how good the comedy is. And it's like that may seem like a better move short term, but if you put a lot of good specials, if we just the people that we knew, if we put all of our specials on a platform, eventually that platform would be, because people would go to that platform and be like, I expect good, everything on here is good, everything on here is guys in the clubs for years and years pushing, grinding, and like this is good, and the platform would get a reputation for that.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody at YouTube is probably saying the same thing right now, where they're like, we should incentivize them and give them maybe some money to come here.
Right. I don't know, but I mean, it's a very it's a worthwhile idea to put together. It's like we're just going to put together the best, or not even the best, just like we all like a group of us all kind of like are club comics. You know, we're doing club, and then maybe another platform for guys who are all clean, another platform for Christian, like it's like whatever your thing is. But we're road comics, and we're New York City comics. So maybe all of us on the same platform would make sense. You know?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Just ask people that you've worked with that you know like your work, and if that doesn't happen, then just put something out yourself.
Right.
It is hard to plan right now with everything going on, because everything is so like up in the air. Even if you have dates booked, you're like, who knows what's going to happen to that city by the time next month comes, or 2 months. You know, I've had a bunch of dates that were moved back and now they're like canceled till next year. You know what I mean? So it's hard. You can't really plan anything right now, I think, in that way.
Right.
But definitely like put the feelers out. I know you have hours taped and stuff from just doing the road.
Yeah, that's true. And it's also a time for us to like, you know, we're so caught up in stand-up. We're so caught up in writing and working on our acts. I don't think people realize that. And these industry people sometimes are like, not industry, but your management or your agent. They're like, yeah, why don't you write something? Or just people in general. They're like, why don't you write a pilot? Why don't you write something? And it's like, dude, I have 3 spots tonight, and I'm working on a chunk. I'm working on jokes. It's like, I don't know. I don't have really, I have to plan my road stuff. I'm doing a podcast. I don't really have the time that it takes to work on other projects. But the thing is with this pandemic, it's like, okay, no excuses now, dude. Like, work on these other things that you never got a chance. Work on your podcast. Make another podcast if you think of a unique idea. Write a pilot. And that's something that all of us, like, I'm guilty of it, where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, it's like, well, read a book, learn, talk to people, get the process down, and then just start coming at it every day. It's like a chance for us to work on the other thing that's going to make us. Because I don't think any of us, as good as we are, I don't know if stand-up can breaks you anymore by itself.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with writing a pilot and stuff, me and Sarah have written several pilots. We had one pilot that was basically just off that joke I had about 2 female cops.
Right.
We wrote a pilot, and Sarah, how long have people just strung you along? It's just like every new person we meet wants us to rewrite it, and then they drop off the face of the earth. So like we probably have that one pilot that's keeps going through changes for like 7 years. So even when you write that stuff, it doesn't mean automatically you're going to be able to sell it. We have so many pilots written where at this point you're like, I'm not going to write anything else.
Right. I can see that.
It's also, I'm at this point of like, I'm not doing a pilot. I'm not writing a pilot anymore. Also, some of the guys that are so good, they have a pilot. It never gets picked up. It feels like a huge waste of time that I'd rather just make videos and fail through the process and make something rather than just writing something and getting notes and it never gets made.
Or just give someone money. You know what I mean? Like, I'm at the point where I would be happy if somebody gave me money and threw my script in the trash. Like, I'm at that level.
But isn't the thing also like I'm writing one now, and it's like I'm just coming at it every day and revising it, whatever. But I think okay, even if it doesn't get picked up, I'll have a writing sample.
That's true.
So one of our friends gets a show, which is, has been happening and is possible. One of our friends has a show, and they're like, okay, we can bring you on to write. And it may not be your long-term thing, but it might be maybe it is. Maybe you do great in the room, and that's your path forward. But or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just like you work and make money for a year or two. But it's like, at least you have that. You guys have that writing sample now, where it's like, okay, what do you
That's
have?
true.
It's like, here, I have this.
Yeah, it's just, I think like in those
I think it has to do with people, like if they already want to hire you.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, give me a reason. Give me a reason to hire you. Do you have something? And you go, here's my script about two female cops. And they go, okay, you're good. You're in.
Yeah. I mean, we'll say it's just, it's hard to not get discouraged, I guess. But like
Right.
you said, just kind of work on your own stuff right now. Because this will turn around at some point. I think, like you said, like the shows were great. And I even was talking to Mark about his shows. And he's like, the audiences are hot. Like they want comedy. So that's never going to go away. It just might be a little stalled right now, the way that it's happening because of what's going on. But like that art form will never go away. I think no matter how much people try and politically correct comedy, which is heartbreaking to me, I think the fans are still going to want comedy,
I think so too. I think if there was a vaccine tomorrow, I don't know how you guys feel about this, the clubs would explode.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
They would explode.
I mean, people are going to those drive-in shows and they're not the greatest, but you can tell that they're like, they want entertainment for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I was in Tampa, and I could feel it with the crowds. Like they just wanted to be out. They just wanted to hang out, and they were great. They were like fun and loose, and they didn't hold you to like any mistakes or stumbling that you had. And then the comics also, because they've been open for like since the beginning of June and of May, the comics at the clubs, the regulars at the club, like they want to talk comedy. They want to hang, you know what I mean? Like, it was just refreshing to be like, and that's a good scene down there. So it was refreshing to be in front of the audiences and then hang with the comics a little bit to talk comedy. Because like I said, on social media, you get caught up and it's just like, it's just such a drag. It's like nice to get back to hang with comics and talk about comedy.
Yeah. Cause that was like one of my favorite parts of doing stand-up is like seeing your friends at clubs and hanging out after your set and just talking about regular life stuff. Like that's a big part of comedy. So even when you do these Zoom shows, besides from the audience not being there with you, that other element of talking with comics and the camaraderie, that's like missing. So it doesn't really feel fun.
Right. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Like I've only done two Zoom shows. So, and they were pretty good, but I thought they were pretty good, but it's like, I don't know if this is going to help me. Is it going to help me develop or, develop material or what? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you do a drive-in show, the one down at Bel Air Diner?
I don't know. I mean, I would go on what you guys said. I know you did it. Katie did it. Did Joe do it? Like, I don't know. I would go by what you guys said. If it was worth it, I would do it.
The hang was fun. I went last week just to hang with some of the comics. And
that's
just
cool.
Like a fun thing to talk to people.
Right.
But the show, it's like doing a live Zoom show.
Oh, really?
So
yeah, you're just outside, but it's the same kind of response. You're like, you'll see people laugh in their car, but you're not hearing anything. So it's kind of hard to keep your timing, I think.
Oh.
There are people honking instead of laughing.
Yeah, now they've just like flickering their lights now.
What a bizarre way.
That's something at least. I like that. I like I was doing I think I was doing one of the Zoom shows where I was preparing something and I did the joke and then I would have a car horn at the end of the joke where the laugh is just to keep the timing, and it sounds goofy. It's like an old timey horn. And
I love it.
It just, I don't know, it felt funny to me, it's a lot of it's about feeling funny,
Oh yeah. That's some of the Zoom shows are fun because then it's a different kind of crowd work because now you know all the audience members by their name and how they live, so you can, talk about their interior design instead of like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Where's
Where'd
everyone
you get your
from?
couch?
You just roast them. It
Yeah,
ends
you
up
just
being a
roast them. Yeah, that's good. Hey, Mike, where can we find you? We're about to wrap up.
Oh, cool. I'm at Comic Mike V on all social media platforms. And
Are you still
can I,
doing No Disrespect?
yes, can I please plug it? You guys have both been on
Yes.
the No
Yes,
Disrespect
so fun.
podcast on the Gas Digital Network, but anywhere anywhere you can find podcasts. I'm not saying it right. It's No Disrespect. It's called No Disrespect. Myself, Justin Silver. We usually have guests on. Sometimes we do family episodes. So please subscribe.
Also check out your late night sets.
Yes. It's
Muscle
all at Comic
Confusion.
Mike V.
Yes, your album Muscle Confusion.
My album is Muscle Confusion, my first one. And then my latest one in 2018 was The Worst Kind of Thoughtful. Please buy them on iTunes.
Yeah.
Go support Mike. He's super funny. Thanks for doing this with us.
Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of
Yeah.
fun, guys.
Oh, and go watch King of Staten Island.
Go
He's
watch
really
The King of Staten Island
Yeah. And tweet
on
about
demand.
it. All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Mike.